Hi there, wig lover. This is Heather from CysterWigs.com, and today I'm bringing you a review of the Chelsea by Envy. This is an Envy hair wig, which means it's about 70% heat-friendly synthetic and 30% real human hair. But I will say that of all the blends that I've ever tried, I like the Envy Hair one probably the best. It feels really great, especially when you first get it home. It's really nice. So of all the blended fibers, the Envy is probably my favorite. But I digress. This one's called Chelsea and it's in the color dark blonde. The dark blonde, especially in the Envy hair, is really pretty. It's a really nice sort of sandy, ashy blonde color. It's got a lot of different tones throughout and some of them are warm. But as you can see, the overall appearance is definitely sort of a dark ash blonde. Very dynamic, almost looks like it's highlighted. Most of the colors in the Envy line are going to be like this, whether they're the Envy hair or the traditional synthetic, or the human hair for that matter. This is not what I was expecting, honestly. I actually like it way more. And the reason why is because as soon as I put it on, and something you probably don't get from the product photos right away, this is a really long, angled bob. It's quite short in the back, barely hits the top of my shoulders, goes all the way down. It's way more dramatic than Marley by Amour or Mina by John Renault. It is much longer in the front and a little bit longer in the back as well. So it's a really intriguing cut. I was thinking this was going to be almost the same length all the way around. I'm so pleasantly surprised that that's not the case. This one is very interesting compared to what I was expecting via the product photos. Though I will say she looks great in the product photos. She does. That model is fantastic. She could wear a tarp over her head and she'd probably still look great. The magic of models. Anyway, I really like this one. I like the way it feels. I like the way it moves. I love the fact that it's really long and angled here. That's so cool. Before I do anything else, let me go ahead and do a 360 so I can show you what Chelsea by Envy looks like on all sides. I really like this one. I can't stop playing with it because the hair feels so nice. Now, I know all wigs kind of feel that way when you first get them, don't they? But this stuff feels very, very pleasant. Chelsea is 100% hand-tied, and she's got a hand-tied lace front, and I've got this pushed up on my forehead just a little bit because my hairline's dark, and this is extremely transparent lace. It does have a monofilament top. In fact, the whole thing, as I said, is hand-tied monofilament. So speaking of which, let me go ahead and take Chelsea off so I can show you what the cap construction looks like. So Chelsea, as I said, has a hand-tied monofilament top and a contoured lace front that's made on extremely transparent lace. The back is made of stretch mesh lace, has an extended felt nape with Velcro adjusters, and the elastic is covered with a very fine mesh material to protect it from sweat and stuff like that so it doesn't stretch out as much. The ear tabs are closed and they're covered in a soft felt. I will say that the ear tabs from the Envy line are a little bit softer than you'll find in other product lines. Yeah, it's great. I really like this one. I think it's well constructed. The monofilament looks really nice. Like I said, it's very sheer. You can see my hand right up against there. And also take note at how some of the tones in here are quite light and their knots are gonna be light too. Don't let that freak you out because that always happens whenever you have, you know, a darker color right up against a lighter one, especially if it's a really light blonde. It always tends to look like those knots aren't there. So And no, I would not in any way recommend bleaching the knots on this wig. And people do that with their human hair wigs, so that way the knots look a little bit more convincing and it just kind of blends into your scalp. Movement with this stuff. You'll want to treat it with something that has anti-static properties as part of your care routine, because heat-friendly synthetic, which is the majority of this fiber, really does sort of trap static, and that static causes it to kind of clump, and that clumping eventually leads to tangling, and that tangling eventually leads to So yeah, we want to avoid that. I'm gonna go ahead and put Chelsea back on now. Yeah, this one is very cute, very natural looking sheen. It's very bright lights, as you can tell from Sequin City behind me. And so, yeah, even though it's got a ton of light on it, that sheen is very natural on this fiber. And it will get a little bit more natural when you wash it, because you'll wash some of the silicone off of it. And if that's a concern of yours, I definitely recommend using some Simply Styled or Envy Renew and Repair, which is really ideally suited for these Envy hair wigs. The front on Chelsea is 15.5 inches, so quite long. Compare it to the rest of these measurements. The crown down is only 12.5. The sides are only 10.5, and the nape is only 5.75. This wig reminds me stylistically of the Tessa PM by Noriko, which has a very similar sort of shape to it, but that one is much denser, is not heat friendly, and this one has way better cap construction. Like, it's got really good cap construction. You know, so this fits a little tight on me. Meh. The coverage is alright. You know, I probably have to get this in a darker color to have it blend in with my sideburns a little bit better. But I think this one is a hit. I think it's really well made. I really like a lot of the Envy hair wigs, by the way. For instance, I love Lindsay. That is a fantastic wig too. So if you're curious about trying these fibers out, I definitely recommend these two. So I'm Heather, I'm from CysterWigs.com. That's CYSTERWIGS.com. Bringing you a review of Chelsea by Envy in the color Dark Blonde. Thanks so much for watching my YouTube channel. Hopefully you've subscribed if you like what we do here, so that way you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. And until next time, I hope you have a really great night.